right, let's tip it off. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Outside the Barn, brought to you by the good people at New Amendment. I am one of your hosts, Kendal Shell, along with me, Blake Hoffarber, Trevor Mbakwe. Blake, Trev, how we feeling today?
Doing well. Other than the fact I was at the game last night and didn't look pretty towards the end, but doing well. Family's doing well, and had a good Martin Luther King Day yesterday, and just trying to enjoy the rest of the week. How about you, Trev?
Oh, man, I'm emotional right now. I'm still trying to get over last night's game. I was in Arizona for the weekend, so I got some sunshine. But also, it was tough watching. We had our small group of Viking fans, and after between that and watching the Gophers play, I was just like, well, I don't know. I can't be a Minnesota fan too much longer. Just kidding. But I'm excited. I'm excited to be back here. I think it was a good weekend, much needed. A good MLK Day too, myself too. So definitely a great reset for myself. How about you, Kendall?
Oh, pretty good. Can't complain. You know, like both of you, a little sad about some of the outcomes of the sporting events. I think, it's tough. I saw a tweet how closely related your emotions can be with your sports team. I think we probably need to find a way to draw the line, especially Minnesota sports teams. But maybe that's a different topic for a different discussion. But being a newfound Vikings fan now, ever since the Minneapolis Miracle year, that's on a short time. It's been quite the roller coaster already. So I can't imagine everybody that's been a Vikings fan, lifelong Vikings fan, but ever since the St. Louis Rams left me, I left them. And so now being a Vikings fan is tough, and that was a tough loss, but I think we can be realistic, and like the Vikings show up two different ways. So I don't think any of us are surprised at that one at all.
No, we should not lose to the Giants at home. Come on. I don't care about how bad our defense. Like, come on, we don't lose to the Giants at home. That's crazy. Blake, I don't know how you went to the game. I would never in 1,000 years went to that first game.
I was there, but speaking of tough losses, didn't you have a game on Friday, Trev?
Excuse me, what?
Speaking of tough losses, for my alma mater, Hopkins High School, gave it to Trev a little bit on Friday, but I didn't see the game. I just, heard through the grapevine that we might have.
I didn't see the game either.
Might have got an L. Trev got 3 L's over the weekend.
Yeah, I took L's the whole weekend. So long story, a lot of you. I'm right now temporarily the head coach at Eden Prairie High School. We played Blake's alma mater, Hopkins. His family comes up to me before the games. They're softening me up, and I fell for it, and they beat us.
Whatever it takes to get the win, baby.
Oh, man.
But it was good. Yeah, so I took L's the whole weekend. I was 0 for like 7 the whole weekend, so I'm just glad for me.
Oh, man. No, let's move on from all those L's and let's talk about a W, man. So let's move on to the X's and O's here, right? So we had 2 games since we last spoke, fellas. We went 1-1 in those games. Let's talk about that first game, and that's the win at Ohio State. I think we can all agree a huge win, a much needed win, a close win, came down to the end. We can all agree, winning at Ohio State is extremely difficult. If I'm not mistaken, we haven't won at Ohio State since 2005. One of our guys, Vince Greer, let me know on social media that his team was the team that actually won during that time. But just winning at Ohio State is a tough, accomplishment, right? And so let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about the excitement. I don't know about you guys, but I was extremely excited. I was hyped. I think we saw in the locker room after the game, the team was hyped. Coach Johnson, the entire team, they were celebrating together. Blake, I'll kick it to you just to start. Talk a little bit about the importance of a win like that, man, and how big that is for the program and just your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think it was huge. I mean, I think last time we had the podcast, you'd be lying if you thought we were going to win that game on the road. Hadn't won there since 2005. It sounds like that seems crazy. I didn't even realize that, but I thought it was huge. I mean, anytime you beat a team like Ohio State, especially on the road, that's huge for the team. That's huge for momentum. Obviously, getting the first Big Ten win, and we've been in a slump a little bit, so that's just huge. And obviously got the loss yesterday, but I think we're playing better, and I think getting a win like that tells the team internally and tells the fans like, hey, we're capable of getting wins. We're getting better. We're staying in these games. And it was a big game for us, and it was an exciting game. I know it was down to the wire, and it was interesting. Coach Johnson called a timeout after Cooper missed that first free throw, and I think people were giving Ben a little flack, but then obviously it paid off because we hit that next free throw. So I thought it was huge for the team, huge for momentum. Even though we lost the next game after that, I still think it was big for the program, big for the guys to realize, hey, we can compete at the Big Ten level, and hopefully we continue to live off that momentum and really believe that we can get some wins here, and even if they're on the road. Trev, what do you think?
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. I think the conversation we've been having for last month is competing. And the guys left for the last – I think that for me, that's why the Illinois game was kind of tough to watch, because I feel like we came out flat and it wasn't like the same game. Like, that's me fast-forwarding it. But at the end of the day, it's like not just playing at Ohio State in the Big Ten. Every road game is tough. I don't care if you go to Penn State, Northwestern, Michigan State, Wisconsin. Like, it's going to be a battle. And the guys competed, and they showed up to play. Like, that was so much fun watching them play. And, like, even like the end of the game, adjustments they made versus Wisconsin went to Cooper, rejects the screen and turns the ball over. It's the same play. They ran again, and he got to the basket and he scored. And it was just watching those adjustments. Like, obviously, you knew they were in the film room, and like just watching that and like just watching them come together and just have that us versus the world mentality. That was fun to watch. So for them to come out kind of flat, I think, versus Illinois, it was kind of like, okay, like, it's a tough game after you have a big emotional win. Then you have to come back at home on a Sunday and play, against a tough team. But they definitely showed promise. The Wisconsin game was fun, that they should have won that game. And, like, having 20 turnovers on the road and losing by 1 or 2 points, like that shows a lot. And they're cutting down some of their mistakes. I think the last couple of games they've only had 5-6 turnovers. They're still not shooting the ball as highly as they can, and that they will need to open up their offensive game. But it's been fun just watching them compete. Like, they're they haven't given up on themselves, and you can tell that. And that's what I'm happy to see. They have 2 big games coming up too, moving forward, and just see how they react towards these next 2 games. And I don't know. I'm excited still. I mean, it's a grind. It's the Big Ten, so.
Yeah, but you guys did notice. I mean, we got that Ohio State win, and we talked about it last time. But one of the players stepped up. I think Garcia. I forgot he had 28 or 26 points. I mean, we need one of those guys, Battle, Garcia, anyone else, to step up like that. I think our offensive weapons are. I don't want to say lacking, but we need a game where someone steps up and starts hitting shots, or posting up, getting a lot of buckets in the paint, in order to get a win. And we had that over Ohio State. I think Garcia started off at the Illinois game doing going to the bucket. He hit a 3 to start the game, but then the second half kind of didn't do a ton. And then obviously Battle and some other guys weren't knocking down shots, and they just took off and ended up winning by, I don't know what the final score was, but I think I snuck out of there with like 3 minutes left, one of those old guys to beat the rush in traffic, but it was like 23 at one point, I know.
I mean, Illinois just did a great job. Like, every time we try to make a run, they came back and come back to, big 3 here, or a big putback, or, Danny, he have a score or whatever the case may be. And like, they just did a great job. And those are the tough ones when you lose at home, and you can kind of tell, like, the crowd wanted to be in there so bad, but we just never could gain enough momentum to kind of hold the game and like take over.
Yeah, there was 2 times, I think, where people got on their feet, revving up, we're going on a run, and then bam, they hit a 3 or got a put back or and one, and everyone sits there, what's back down in the seats. So, but that's kudos to Illinois. I mean, that's what good teams do. When you're on the road, you need to shut the crowd up, right? One of my favorite things when I was in college, was hitting a big 3 when the place was going crazy, and just shut them up. And the coach called a timeout. You're like, all right, we're back. Exactly. So, and other teams do that as well. They got that kid from Baylor. I forget, Mayer or Meyer. I forgot he even transferred there, but 6'9" shooter. I mean, he had one of those where we were on the, standing up, and bam, he just knocked one. I think it was at the end of the first half. He hit that corner 3, and that kind of changed the momentum of the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you talked about Blake Dawson, Garcia. I think he stepped up in the Ohio State game, right? I think he had 28 points, 9 rebounds, almost had a double there, and he was getting to it every way he could, right? He was hitting a few threes, he was posting up, he was getting to the mid-range a little bit, but he was doing all he could to half hook, and he did a lot. And it was great to see. I think we all know what he's capable of. I think he's capable of having that type of game every game, just simply because, like you talked about, Blake, we don't have a lot of offensive threats. So it's a matter of like, hey, like, you're here to do this. Like, we want you to fill it up this way, and we want you to get the rebounds, lead the break, do all you can. He started out like that in the Ohio State game, but after second half, he wasn't there, and no one else really was there either. Like, that's the problem. Like, it looks like there's just the depth on offense is not really there. And then, the guys that come in, like, they've got to be a little bit more aggressive. I think Pharrell got taken out of the game a little bit. I don't think he scored a field goal in the Ohio State game. I think he had a few free throws, but he got taken out of the game. And, I'd like to see him a little more aggressive, as well as Josh Olajoseph. I think there's a lot of times we can find some clips where Josh Olajoseph, like, he gets to the paint, but he's looking to pass a lot. And everybody's seeing it, and they're, like, stepping back to see it. And he's just – I get it, right? You don't want to overstep your boundary. If you were a normal freshman on team where there was depth, then that'd be a good role. But right now, we don't need that Draymond, Golden State type role. We need a Draymond college type role. Like, go score, be the junkyard dog where you're doing everything. So him as well as Braden Carrington. I think when he comes in the game, I want to see him more aggressive as well. Like, if we don't have those guys, just aggressive out the gate, like, what are we going to do with Jamison and Dawson when they're not clicking? But that limited offense, I think we saw yesterday against Illinois, like, we were outpowered. They just had way more offensive threats than we had.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And, part of me, if you want to be a truly great player like, Garcia or some of these guys are going to be, like, you got to have the different dual threats, right? Post up, hit a three, hit a, one dribble pull up. But for a lot of these freshmen, I mean, find your niche and especially as a freshman, and do it, right? So Olajoseph, I just think, he should be a slasher, a cutter, or someone who grabs the rebound, puts it back in, draws a foul, right? Payne should be more sealing a guy under the basket and trying to get an and one or dunk over him, or, grab the rebounds, right? But, I feel like these guys have to get their, their roles on the team. And I think they're just not set yet, right? Carrington coming in, right? Is he going to be a lockdown defender? Is he going to be a shooter? Like, you want to do it all, but, like, they got to know and trust, when Olajoseph gets in the paint, right? Sure, I'll look for the pass potentially, but for the most part, I'm going to know he's going to go up and try to get a foul or and one or put back. And I really like him doing that, but there was a couple times in the game last night, he dump it off and it was a steal, or the other guy wasn't ready, right? And I don't know if that's just dynamics, chemistry, young team. It's all of it, right? But I'd rather have him just go into the guy's chest and try to get an and one. If it's a charge, so be it. He's aggressive. But, that's why I think, he needs to start doing more. And like I said, he's a bright spot for us. I like him when he's out on the floor. I think he's aggressive, especially as a freshman. But I want to see Payne do the same thing.
Yeah, that's why non-conference games are so important too. I think, like, that's helped build those confidence. Like, if you press, you get easy baskets, you start feeling yourself. Like, now, like, Joseph, like, he's able to do things because he's confident in himself. Pharrell's the same way. Like, I think that's why us getting off to a rough patch in non-conference kind of hurt us starting the Big Ten, because, like, those guys didn't have the right confidence heading into these big games. Like, let's be honest. I mean, our first 5-6 games in the Big Ten have been tough.
Oh yeah.
I don't like, it's been a monster. I don't know, Mr. Warner, before he left to go to the Bears, he just want to say something about the Gophers. I don't know, but, like, there hasn't been any easy games. But that's just part of it. And like you said, like, it's just them having that confidence. And, like, we could talk about Dawson and Jamison as, for forever, and, like, because those are our two best players. But at the end of the day, like, they need help. We can't just depend on two guys in the Big Ten. Like, that's not going to win you many games.
And I'm just waiting for the day those two click, right? They play well together at the same time in the same game. And they're having ups and downs, but you just don't see them both. Like, you don't see battle hitting threes and pull-ups, and Garcia coming out in X position, dunking on a guy or doing a post-up. Like, it almost seems like –
could you imagine once they get on that same page, how dynamic they should be, the best two players in the Big Ten, or top four.
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying Trev and I were like them or the two best players, but I just knew if I come up, they just don't know each other's game yet. When I'd come off a Trevor would set me a down screen. I'd come off and curl it. I knew to throw it right next to the rim. I knew he was going to be there. I didn't even try to bounce pass it to him. I knew right what he was going to do. I threw it to the rim if his guy came, and I knew he was going to be there. I didn't even have to look. But those are the things that these guys don't. And a lot of it's chemistry, experience. Maybe the non-conference, they didn't get off to a good roll. They weren't playing their normal roles, but like you don't see that where you just know where each
They
other
both
are on
grew
the
up in
court.
Minnesota. Like, well, how do they not know each other's game?
No, I hear you. But here's the thing. I think yesterday we did see,
I agree with you. Right?
we did see it yesterday, actually. I think it was one possession where I was like, this is it. I don't know if Dawson got the rebound maybe, but they had a little two-man game action, right? Which is exactly what they need. I think Dawson got it. Jamison got out on the break, which he always gets out on the break off a rebound anyway. I think Dawson brought it a little bit. He pushed it up, set the screen. They had a little two-man game. I think Jamison hit a nice midi, and it was when Jamison came back, was kind of, hype, getting the crowd ready. I think that was literally the last good play of the second half. Like, it was like maybe like in the first couple of minutes, but like when I saw that, I'm just like, why don't they do that all the time? Like, why don't if he doesn't hit the midi, maybe Dawson's sealing him off, or then maybe they just get into some type of action, but I don't get why they don't do that. I would love to maybe see them just in practice getting just straight reps in, right? There's a drill where you can just get reps in where you're throwing the outlet and you just have those two in two-man game, and then you figure it out. Like, Trev, to your point, like, you probably should be able to know each other's game at this point, but maybe it is just reps. Like, maybe you need to know kind of how he's moving off the screen or how Dawson likes to set the screens, whatever it may be. But I think we saw it like for that one possession yesterday, and I was like, man, this is it. Like, what could be? Like you said, Trev, probably the best two-man tandem in the Big Ten.
Well, and part of it, do you think it's Battle being out at the preseason and the first so many games, right? And him not being 100% potentially? I mean, not to put excuses out there, but that could be part of it. But, I think in our first podcast, I think all three of us said we need both of them to play well this year to compete and have a good year. And they're not playing well, but they're not playing well together, it seems like. And I'm waiting for that. And there's glimpses of it where you're like, okay, I like this. And then it kind of goes away a little bit. But I think they're going to start clicking here, or at least I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have no choice now. At the end of the day, right now, it's like this next 2 weeks are, is going to be a big indicator on how the rest of the season goes. Let's be honest. If you go 1-7, like our thoughts are on spring break at that point. We'll run it back next year, but these next 4 games are going to be so crucial. And Dawson and Jamison are so talented that they should be able to figure out by now. Mm-hmm. Also, like I think, like you said to your point, Jamison or Blake, him missing the first few weeks of the season, like that doesn't help. Like, he's out of rhythm. He's trying to find his way back. He's conditioning, all this stuff. Like, I think those are all valid reasons and excuses. Like, I understand completely, but at some point, they have to be like, hey, like, this is what we're going to do. Like, maybe it's just you two staying behind practice and like working together, or like, it's building Cooper's confidence up, or whatever the case may be. But we just have so much potential still. I think that's the part that's frustrating. It's like, how can you show up the way you did versus Wisconsin and Ohio State and those guys, and then like let up against Illinois?
Yeah.
Like, granted that they were in the game most of the game, like, it was back and forth. We get a lead, and Ohio State come back and hit a big shot, or Illinois come back and hit a big shot. But those games at home, you want to see the energy that they had on the road. And I don't think we saw it from me watching on TV. I never really felt that way.
Yeah, I don't think it's there. And I think I'm trying to figure out what it is, but I think just the lack of depth, really hurts, and the energy. And like I keep talking about, like, we can't expect the starting 5 to really be the ones to bring it that full 40 minutes. Like, every team has those guys that come off the bench to give that spark too. And I think just figuring that out is huge. But yeah, like you said, Trev, like, we didn't compete for 40 minutes in that Illinois game, which was very unfortunate. I don't know what the reason being was, but yeah, we didn't compete for the 40 minutes. And I don't know if it's all depth, but I think that was a huge reason. And I think, in a lot of areas, the Illinois team, they were just better. I think their guards and wings played better. I think their freshmen played better than our freshmen. And I think their bigs, outplayed our bigs as well, unfortunately. But yeah, you got to bounce back. You got to bounce back because you had so much energy and momentum coming off the last game. And then, you followed up with that. But another piece and last piece just about the game that like I noticed, I think we've talked about, it's really that sealing and posting up. I don't know if it was Blake or Trev, but I noticed it a lot yesterday as well. Now I've just been looking out for it. Like there's a lack of spacing. So I'm like, why is there such a lack of spacing and movement on the court? And you see, like every time we're posting up, we're way too high on the post up. We're not low on the block, and it doesn't give room for the shooters. It's tough out there. So I don't know what type of action we need to get in, like to get things moving. I don't know what you guys are seeing from it, but like it just seems like one is stagnant, and two, there's no spacing. Like every time someone attempts a three, like the post player is right there anyway. So like there's just a lot. It's not a lot of room to make anything happen from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think we talked about this last time, but part of it, I think, is we're not shooting the three ball that well this year. So, spacing gets, they started sinking in on the bigs. Part of it's, I agree with you. Ever since I mentioned that comment weeks back, you got, and I think that's part of Garcia's game, though, that he's not a bruiser inside. He's more of a mid post up guy and tried to wad dribble with his left hand. But, Illinois had some big guys that were keeping him out. I mean, he was trying to power his way in there, and they were just, that one guy from Park Center, I forget his name, Danje or whatever. I mean, he's a big guy. He's a grown man, so he wasn't getting by him. But there was one moment, I think it was in the second half, where it was in the first half because we were going in the basket where the student section is, but he sealed the defender literally underneath the hoop, caught it, and went in. He didn't make it, but he got fouled and went to the free throw line. But that was the one moment where I'm like, oh my God, like he sealed him. And he's known for that. That's what he did in high school all the time. I remember my uncle told me, like, he was amazed on the space he just eats. And that's the one time where I was like, man, we need more guys to start doing that, because you're going to get fouled or you're going to dunk over the guy if you seal him underneath the basket. Versus the problem is when Garcia or some of these guys are doing these mid posts, and Trev knows this. I mean, the guard on the 3-point line, and my defender, if I'm the 3-point shooter, he can guard myself, the shooter, and Trev at the same time, because we're literally right next to each other. But when Trev's posting up on the block, he's got to make a decision. Either I'm going to double down to Trev and he's going to kick it out to me, or he's going to just stay with me. And we don't have that right now. And part of that could be the lack of, posting up down low, but part of it's, we haven't been hitting shots either. So, I don't know, Trev, your thoughts on that, but I do agree, Kendall, with the spacing. And I don't even think it's a coaching thing. I think it's more of a type of player, and just, we got to focus on, I don't think it's strength, because Pharrell's a strong, big guy. Garcia's got some, arms and strength as well. We just need to seal a little closer. And that's Trev. That was one of his best things. And it was fun playing with him because he allowed us to space out.
Yeah. I mean, even the times when I had to post high is because I was waiting for that high-low pass. And it's like to Blake's point, like, I don't know if it's a coaching thing, because Pharrell was doing it early in the season. I remember, Kendall, you made a comment on Twitter, like, he's one of the best sealers you've seen in a long time. And I don't know why he got away from it or what the case may be. Like, let's be honest, that's not his game. And that's not a knock to him. Like, he's a great player. But, I don't see him just going to the block every time and sealing in the middle of the paint and just scoring like that. He's his athleticism, his quickness, his skills on the perimeter. But we have to get easy baskets, like you said. Like, we just have to find ways to create fouls. I think they were not a great 3-point shot. I think we were 3 for 15 last game. And even worse, Ohio State, I think we only shot 28-30% from the three. So like we're not going to shoot lights out from the three at moments, but we have to find ways to get easy baskets. That's defensive transitions, that offensive rebounds. That's just like getting a quick. For I don't care if you missed the 2 free throws, at least you got that's another foul for the opposing team. Or like, how do we create those moments? Because like for me, when I was playing, I was like, let's just get to the bonus. I'll get you 3 fouls. Myself, I know Ryder's gonna get another couple fouls, and like whatever the case may be, and we're not creating easy opportunities. I don't know how many free throws we shot last game or the last couple games, but like just getting to the free throw line and like just getting easy baskets. I think we just have to do that. And I don't know why Pharrell, regardless of him being a freshman, whatever the case may be, he's stronger than most players in the Big Ten. Like how do we use that potential that he has to kind of establish that for our team? And make it easy for us. Like you said, we don't have the offensive weapons. So like outside of our top two, I mean, even Cooper, so 3. But other than that, like we're not going to outscore most teams. So what's our other way that we're going to show up? And who's the Gophers? Like, what are we?
Exactly. What's our identity?
right?
Yes.
And part of me, to get those easy buckets, like, do we start doing a zone press or a press? Like, we need to do something, right? We need to get
We have the athletes.
That's what I mean. Put Carrington and these guys out there and start, and not to be, coach on the other side or the sideline coach, but like we started at the end of the game, the Illinois game, doing like a little 3-quarter press with a zone, right? At least it eats the clock a little bit and gets them out of, and hopefully we can get a steal or a deflection or whatever. But like, part of me is like, okay, our offense isn't clicking. We don't have a ton of offensive threats potentially, and that's not knocking the players on the team. That's just the point that we're at right now. And it's like, can we start changing the tempo of the game through a press or a zone or something like that? To, even years back, 2 years ago, I remember we would go in between man and zone just to confuse teams, right? We got to start doing some of these things. And maybe it's the experience on the team with the freshmen, like they don't have it clicked or they can't do it or communicate yet. I don't know what it may be, but I agree with Trev. I'd like to see some change of pace and identity on the team.
Yeah, for sure.
We have the pieces. We have athletes. We have guards who can defend. We have bigs who can defend. Well, we have length. Like you put Jameson, Carrington, Farrell. I don't care who you put out there. We like Ola Joseph. Like we have long guys who can cover up a lot of space. And
yeah, I think we need to try some type of zone or a zone press to really change up the coverage. Like you said, Blake used to do a 22, 23 type style press, or whether it's 1-2-2. But like we can use the length that we have. I think you look at a guy like a Trayton Thompson, right? We're probably going to need him to play minutes. He played 1 minute. How do you utilize him, right? He'd be a great guy for a press like that, just to add length, right? He has a little bit of length. You have a Dawson, you have a Jameson, like you talked about, Trevor Brayton at 6'4", a Talon. That's a nice, sized team. And I think it's nice to really get used to the motions and used to practicing it, because you only have length coming in these next few years. You got Parker Fox, you got Isaiah Enid, you got Dennis Evans as well, right? We're talking about guys 6'9", 6'10", 7 foot. So you've got all these taller guys coming in anyway. How about you try to start practices and start implementing this? Because, I think it does change up the pace a little bit, makes the game maybe a little bit more fun. I think someone like a Talon Cooper is really good in transition. I think he's good at getting downhill. So I think it creates that now. But other than that, it's very limited times where he's able to even do it. But I agree, maybe try to implement something to the sort of a press or a full court press there.
But you know what's fun though, which I do love, that Fox Sports Network, watching Ben in the huddles. Yeah, like I'm a big fan of this still. Like just watching him like talk to his guys and like just pump them up. Even after the timeout, I saw a bunch of people saying, "Why would you ice your own shooter?" And then like you see like him talking to Cooper. Yeah. Like that was so much fun to watch. And like I think a lot more people like were understanding of it. Like when you're losing, you don't get as much credit for it, but like just watching him like work with his players team, the way that they react to him, like that was special. So
I thought that was funny. We're all coach on the sidelines, right? We don't know truly what's going on too, right? We've all played, but like Ben knows what he's doing, right? So I know they're gonna come through with it. Coaches are only good as their players too, right? So we gotta acknowledge that. But I think hopefully they're starting to, this is a year of figuring out the team and the identity. And, I would have liked to have the identity figured out in November. I think everybody would have wanted that, but, we don't, right? So, how can we improve? How can we get better? I think every podcast we've had, we said, we just want to see improvement, right? We're not winning the national championship this year. We're not, maybe we win the Big Ten tournament. We get lucky and things go crazy, right? But let's be honest. We just need to get better each and every week, get better in practice. Make sure that come March, fans are in the stands. They're seeing the team get better. 1 or 2 guys just improve drastically throughout the year. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, who's it going to be, right? Everyone's talking about Carrington, right? Oh, I wish he was better to start the year. Well, if I was him, I'd say, well, screw it. I'm going to get better, and this is my time to improve. And by the time March hits, I want to be in contention for a starting spot next year as a sophomore.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's that time now. We're in that part of the season where it's like, who's going to step up to say, I'm going to be here for 4 years and I'm starting now playing fearless. And to your point, Trevor, about that coach's broadcast, and to both your points about Coach Johnson and knowing his players, I completely agree. I was glad people were able to see a little bit into how he does coach his players, because I think Coach Johnson is a true players coach, right? I think we all know what a players coach on this, interview is, but a players coach really is somebody that understands how to motivate guys, right? Somebody that's been there before, somebody that's gonna, understand and be able to motivate them in a way that a lot of coaches can't, just because one, they don't get it, two, they can't relate, or three, they just haven't earned that respect and trust. I think a lot of coaches really miss the ball when they don't really earn that trust and actually build a relationship with their players. I think that's what Ben Johnson does a great job at. I think that's why he is what, we'd like to call a players coach. And so to your point, Blake, it might be tough right now, but I trust it, right? There you have the second recruiting class coming in for a reason, because he's built these relationships and he has guys that believe in what he's saying and what he's doing. So although it might be tough right now, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's the Big Ten. So it's going to take some time. But at the end of the day, I'm going to bet on a players coach because he's been there. He gets it. And in 2022, we all know a players coach is more important than ever because guys are motivated in a different way. It's just a different time and it's a different game. And it's not saying that they're not pushed. It's not saying that he doesn't want the best out of them, but there's a certain way that you can get the best out of guys. And I know Ben Johnson has that. And so that's where I trust in it, man. But let's move on, fellas, to the scouting report we've got today. So for today's scout, next game, Purdue, which is led by Coach Mbakwe. This scout, we put it in your hands for good reason. As people may have saw, I think you shared your thoughts on Twitter, about some strengths that Purdue has specifically in their big man and probably Big Ten Player of the Year all favorite, Zach Edey. So Coach Mbakwe, I'll let you take it away with the scouting report for the number 1 team in the Big Ten and the number 3 team in the AP Poll 25.
All right. Purdue's tough. This is gonna be a good game to watch. Zach Edey, he's a monster. I couldn't guard him in my best day. He's big, he's long, they do a lot. They're a tough team. Purdue hasn't changed for the last 15, 20 years. I don't know how long Coach Painter's been there. It's pretty similar to the Purdue team that, we faced in college. Obviously they weren't as physically big. Like they were always long, tall. He's always had great players like Juwan Johnson. Yeah, exactly. Robbie Hummel. Like they're solid. Like Purdue is a great program.
Great.
For us is like we have to set the tone early. I mean, Zach Edey, he's gonna get his. Like there's no stopping him. I don't know like if you play zone or we just trap right away. Me and Kendall, we were kind of having this conversation earlier. Like he's just so big. Like even if you sit in a trap, he could pass right over you. So I think he definitely puts a lot of pressure on us on the defensive end. But I think that it's a winnable game still. They were top 5 in the country for a reason, but also I think if we come out the right way, we're playing at home, we have enough juice that this could be a game that we can steal. It's gonna be a battle though. They're big, they're tough. Like I watched their game versus Michigan State, and it's just like they're just so physically imposing, and like they force Purdue on you, Exactly. But I'm looking forward to it. Like at the end of the day, let's just give ourselves a chance. The last 4 minutes of the game, let's give us a chance. Like if we're 2 or 3 possession game, like we have a good chance. But if we get blown out from the beginning, like it's gonna be obviously hard to recover versus a good team like that. How you thinking, Blake?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Purdue's tough, and I don't want to always. I've never been hey, focus on them. I like to focus on us, but for this game, I mean, I'd like to switch something up. I'd like to press, get Edey out of the game, get him more in transition. Whether it's a zone press, a man-to-man, they're tough, so they're probably going to handle it. But I'd like to get the ball out of his hands as much as possible. I'd also try to run some plays right away, going at him. Up and unders, try to get him in foul trouble. I know that's kind of, going at cheaply at him to get out of the game, but like we need to get him in foul trouble and have him sitting on the bench or get him in transition where we're making him play up and down. I just think if we can stay in that game and give us a shot at the end of the game, that would be unbelievable. But, we also got to realize Purdue's one of the top teams in the country, right? Probably for sure the best team in the Big Ten. They're looking at Minnesota, the way we played, like, oh, God, this is going to be a crummy game to come to Minneapolis to play. Minnesota is one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. Like, it could be a way to catch them off guard too, right? And hopefully we're gonna have some good fans there. People aren't giving up. We're playing one of the top teams in the country. We have some bright spots throughout the year with Ohio State, etc. But I'm hoping we do something to change up the game to catch them off guard, whether that's get Edie in foul trouble, whether that's play some full court press, zone press, do something different to knock them off their game. But anytime someone like this comes into town, it's fun to watch. I would encourage fans to go. He's a pro. He's one of the best players in the country, probably going to be the Big Ten Player of the Year. I think it, and also you don't want to learn from a guy like that. But if I was Payne and some of these other guys, I'd try to take. You don't want to do it in the game. Hopefully you mess him up and get him off his game. But learn from how he takes spacing and he plays the game and use that to your advantage eventually once you play with them. But I think they're going to be growing up pretty quick when they play him. I know they already played him once already, but playing him this late in the year too, he's matured even more since the beginning of the year. Where I'm hoping we at least keep it a game with these guys and not be scared to play one of the top teams in the country.
I think he caught a lob from half court and then jumped and dunked it on two people.
No, his runs is just really funny how dominant
that
he is.
Reminds me of me, dude.
Stop.
Well, what'd you say, Blake?
That reminds me of myself. Remember all those days in practice?
Just throw it up to Blake.
Yep.
Yeah,
the trampoline was beneath me, and I was one of those guys at the Timberwolves game, run and jump on this trampoline.
They threw it away. Rodney Hoffarber. Okay, so here's the thing for us. I completely agree, man. And like you said, Blake, they have nothing to lose, right? Like they have nothing to lose in this game. For a Purdue team, it's probably tough to get up for a game like this, going to Minnesota on the road. And then for a Minnesota team, how is it hard to get up for a team like this where you're on a losing streak and you're playing a pro? So I hope they do come with the energy. I hope they switch a few things up, like you said, Blake. I wouldn't mind maybe seeing some sort of zone look, right? Like you talked about, Trev. It's probably hard to double Edie because when you double him, he just looks right over you, especially since we don't have a lot of length. But, maybe some sort of zone look where you almost have someone always anchoring the defense back there with the body on him. But you also can have the wings and the guards maybe kind of sag down a little bit. And let's force him to make a few threes. Let's take him out of it. And then, like you said, Blake, let's take him out of it on a defensive end, like a Dawson or someone go down low, like a lot of up and unders, things like that to really get him off his feet. And you take him out of the game and we can win this game. But obviously, as we saw when they played Michigan State, it was pretty much a wrap. And even to the end of the game, you thought it was over. And one play would have taken like 5 seconds and Edie scored. So we'll see what happens, man. They're at home.
One of those games too, like where your guards, like if I'm a guard and I see him, I'm excited. Like Blake, if he's not going to hedge hard on your screen, so top pick and roll, whatever the case may be. So let's open shots for you the whole game. Dawson, pick and pop. If we play Dawson at the 5, that's that gives us an advantage on the other side too. It's like he's big, but there's ways that you could take advantage of him on the other side too, because he's big, he's a little bit slower, and we have guys who can score from the point guard position, shooting guard position, our 5 position. So we just have to find ways to wear them out. I know it's easier said than done, but we have pieces who can take advantage of it. Like,
and to your
Blake,
point,
for
I
example,
hope Battle takes them off. Whoever's he's guarding, have him set a ball screen for Battle and have Battle come off because he's gonna have to hedge because Battle will hit that if his defender goes under or whatever they want to do. But I would try to get Battle involved with him and go right at him at his hip.
Yep,
go right at him.
So I think there's
No, I said I completely agree. I think I want to see that happen. I mean, Blake, you can talk to it a little bit, but I feel like a problem in our offense also is we have no mid-range threat. And I think that's basketball in general in this day and age. And I know, Blake, you only shot threes, but I know you did get to the midi a little bit.
I had some floating game, man. I did. Towards the end of my career, I had to. That's when I was lobbing at him. But the guys got to learn, man, especially if your shot's not falling from the outside, figure out a different way to do something, right? And I was never going to out-jump people. I was joking earlier about dunking. I was not dunking on anybody or nobody there. I couldn't get up that high, but I would work on my floating game, floaters, do something to catch people off guard. And then a lot of times that's when I would send lobs to Trevor, et cetera. But you got to you got to get to that mid-range game. You're exactly right. And we don't have that. I mean, you see Jamison Battle have it every once in a while, but besides that, I mean, I'm not seeing much, mid-game, it's either down in the post or we're shooting a three. So that's a good point.
Yeah, usually forcing. I mean, you guys brought up the point really because it's just like I would want to see like some of those ball screens because if Edie hedges, right, that's barbecue chicken. Go at his hip, or if he drops back, it doesn't always have to be that three either. It can't be that mid range, but as a guard, Blake, like you just gotta make him make a decision. Go at him, attack him. He's either gonna kind of stand his ground, you can get to the floater, or if he steps back a little bit, you get to that mid range. But I'd like to see it more. We saw it with Dawson. We saw it with Jamison. But, I'd like to see Dawson get there, Braden get there. A lot more of our players get to that, as well as the floater. Like I think Talon and Josh Olajose have a chance of getting the floater a lot too, but they don't quite get there. Yeah, I agree. And then so Coach Hoffarber, passing it on to you next game, man. Next game. After we come away with this win at Minnesota against Purdue, we'll be following it up and going on the road against Michigan. So I know Michigan's got some good guys, right? Hunter Dickinson's been there for a long time. He's starting to be one of those guys where like, when will he graduate? And then, Juwan Howard's son, Jet Howard, is a pro. We've seen that a lot lately. Like kid's got game, like he can get to it. So, I mean, Coach Hoffarber, this is a tough one going on the road. Talk a little bit about this Michigan Stout and what do we need to do to get that W in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we get a W versus Purdue like they're talking about. Hopefully the players get on the plane ride to get there, not in the bar the whole time celebrating. But I think playing Michigan, Michigan can be a tough place to play, and they're good. The only thing that kills me about Michigan right now is I was at the game, one of the other games I was at this year, at that Michigan game. It was like an 8 o'clock game at night, and we just got slaughtered. And we got to take that game out of our mind, do something different, and compete in that game. They got a lot of good players. They got Dickinson. Obviously, he's a big guy, just like Zach Edey. But we gotta do better than the game we did at home. When we played at home, it was one of our first Big Ten games, I think. So we're a different team now, but we got to go there. They got Juwan Howard's a kid who I think he got 2 kids on the team, right? If I remember right.
Yeah, I believe so. Chase and Jet.
I think he does, but the one who's younger, I think, kind of destroyed the Gophers the first game, and they just played better than us that first game. But I think we got to go there, reset our minds. We're a different team. We got to get Garcia and Battle involved in that game and just control them. They can get hot from the 3-point line, so got to stay on them and just keep Dickinson. I mean, he's slowly, I remember at the game, I forgot the number of points and rebounds he had, but he had a good game, and you wouldn't even have guessed it. He just slowly is that guy that gets buckets and gets points and rebounds, and those are sometimes what the best players do, but we got to make sure we, don't are asleep at the wheel, and all of a sudden you look up, we're down by 20, and he's got, 25 and 12 rebounds, right? We're not going to win if that's the case.
Completely agree.
Man, guys, I sometimes forget how tough the Big Ten is. Like I always say, it's the best conference, but then like as we start doing the podcast and these things, it's like every game is like a grind. It's like, okay, we went from talking about Purdue, now we're going at Michigan. It's like, can we get a break? Can we play? I don't even know who's the easy one now. Like Rutgers is tough. Like everybody's tough, but
I mean, shit. Technically,
for us, to win. Huh?
I said technically that's us because we're in last, but carry on.
I was gonna say that, but I wasn't gonna say it. But
I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go.
Joe was trying to say, can we play ourselves, man?
Can we have an scrimmage, please? Yeah, man, like Michigan. I like Dickinson. He's tough. Like you said, Howard's son. They're tough. On the road, it's always tough. Like I think our team, we just have to have an identity. Once we figure out, like, hey, what do we want to do for these next 15, 16 games? Are we just going to be like a pressing team? Or are we just going to be like just defensive focus? Or are we just going to jack up a bunch of shots? Like we have to have like, what's our record? Will we 14 games, 15 games in?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So, but yeah. We have to, like, Michigan's going to be tough. They're going to have a crowd. Their students are going to be back. And then days, it's like the guys have to just rally together, stay together, just have that, us against the world mindset that we always, kind of talk about. Just compete. Just give yourself a chance at the end of the game. Michigan's a tough team, but I don't I wouldn't be surprised if we win. Like, it's not one of those games. It's like, oh, we have no chance.
That's
We
right. I
definitely
was
could win
going to
this
say
game.
the same thing. I mean, I'm not even just, trying to be a Gopher fan here by saying it, but like, I think that's a game, candidly, we could win, right? We already did
Yeah.
it versus Ohio State, similar situation, playing on the road. Like, maybe our identity is we play better on the road. And if that's the case,
Yeah.
great. Like, we got to get some wins somehow, right? We'd rather prefer it at home with the fans in the stands because that's a little easier to do. But if we like to play on the road and switch it up, there's teams that play better on the road, and maybe that's us, and maybe that's going to be the Michigan game, right?
I mean, me as a player, I always love playing on the road. So we're 16 games in, but like I always love playing on the road. Like the road games, like I love playing at home too, but the road games are always fun. Like you said earlier, Blake, just shutting up the crowd.
Yeah, that's the best part. I mean, you start as long as you're not getting blown out in the game. Like if it's a close game and they start getting rowdy and the players are getting their fans and Trev gets a big dunk or I hit a three, like, and then they sit back down and call a timeout or it gets silent again. Like, there's no better feeling than that. I'm sorry. You can hit game winners or whatever; those are all fun, but making crowds just shut up, whether it's a game winner, a dunk, a 3-pointer. I mean, those are some of the best feelings and experiences we've all had. So maybe our team, that's something we're gonna look to do it in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I hope we do get that road win. And like you said, Trev, road wins are fun, but I don't want to put a damper on that thought. But I did look at a stat recently because I was like, man, a lot of our worst stretches, we went on some losing slides on the road. So I look back at the road record over the last 5 seasons, and currently we are 10-41 on the road in the last 5 seasons. So I don't know what that amounts to as a winning percentage, but I would love to change the identity and I would love to change what that looks like. But it's definitely going to be an uphill battle. And I think that just goes to show how hard it is to win on the road.
Kendall, I think 20 of those losses were on your senior year, right?
No, and that's all right, fellas. So let's get some wins against Michigan and Purdue. But like you boys said, we need to get out there and compete. That's all it is. The Ohio State game, it just shows how important that was, man. Like we've seen what it can be. We've seen us being able to win and what it looks like to compete for 40 minutes. Let's just figure that out. Let's string some stops together. Let's be aggressive and just have fun out there, man. Like let's have fun. Let's make something happen. But like you said, Blake, I think we can win that Michigan game. And Purdue, we know what it takes to get a win. It's going to be extremely tough. But at the end of the day, anybody can be beat in the Big Ten, and I think we have a good opportunity to do it. So, fellas, let's move on. Last segment here, word on campus. So today's word on campus, we can call it that. We can call it the elephant in the room, whatever it may be. It's 2 words, and that's free throws. I just want to chat about them. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts where your mind's at, but Jesus, we're one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the Big Ten. Still, it's been like that all season. I think we're the worst in the Big Ten. As far as the country, we were one of the worst. I think I saw a stat the other day that it's the lowest field goal percentage for a major, Division I team in a long time. So I don't want to throw out the number of where we rank, as far as in the country, but we're missing too many free throws. And we saw it almost hurt us in the Ohio State game. Thank goodness it didn't. Thank goodness Talon Cooper came through. But it's going to hurt us in a lot of these close games or any game we want to inch back in. Like, it's going to be tough. So, Blake, I'll just pass it on to you, man. What's going on and what piece of advice would you give this Gopher basketball team to really make an improvement at the line?
I mean, you're exactly right. I think more than just missing the free throws, it's just the momentum and the air it sucks out of the team and the fans when you keep missing free throws, right? It's one thing. We're not losing. I forget how many. I mean, we shot like in the game we were just at. I think it was 50%. I think we shot from the free throw line, which is pretty bad. It's not. I think it was like 8 free throws or something that we missed, which we lost by more points than that. But it's just the momentum.
15 for 25.
How much?
15 for 25.
All right, so not great, right? But it just takes out the momentum and the runs you're on. I mean, when you get fouled, everyone gets hyped, and then all of a sudden you go 0 for 2 at the free throw line. Like, it just sucks the wind out of everybody. Like, oh God, we got to the free throw line, and here it goes. So, I think I know coaches always say, all right, let's work on free throws, right? Then you spend the end of practice and, Trev gets up to the line, and if he makes it, we're good. If he misses it, we have a killer, right? A lot
Hey,
of coaches,
why it had to be me?
Because he can miss or
listen,
run.
I was gonna say, you imagine if Trev was on this team, they would be like,
Hey. First of all, hold on. There's only one person in this group, this podcast, who's made 17 free throws in one game and 19 free throws in one game. Let's just throw it out there.
And one person that's missed 17 too, I bet.
Exactly.
No, but in all honesty, I mean, these players are D1 players, right? They know how to make free throws. It's just, I don't know if it's mental, if it's what's going on. But obviously, if I was Coach Johnson, I'd do some of these drills in practice, right? At the end of the practice, hey, Cooper, step up to, everyone get on the line. If he makes it, we're good and we move on to the next player. If he misses it, we're doing a killer, right? No one wants to run the killer, and it kind of creates that inner feeling like you're in a game because you don't want to run a killer and you don't want the other guys to run a killer. But if I was Coach Johnson, the worst is I always think the player that missed it, he should sit on the sideline and watch the rest of the team run the killers, right? Because then
you're old school.
It puts the guilt on yourself.
Old school.
So, I mean, they got to do something like that because these players know how to shoot free throws. I don't know if they're losing confidence, if they're losing just focus when they're at the free throw line, but like they know how to shoot free throws. They're all D1 basketball players. They're good players. They're always the best at growing up in high school, good D1 players. So it's not like they're just can't shoot free throws. I think a lot of it's just focus and confidence, and that's something that can be fixed. They just got to get over it and realize that, if they miss one free throw, get it out of their head. They're going to hit the next one. If you're thinking, I'm going to miss this next free throw because I just missed 2 or 3, like you shouldn't even shoot the free throw. Just give it back to the ref and run back to the other side.
It's crazy to me because, all jokes aside, I wasn't the best. I probably shot mid-60s for my career in college. But for a lot of the teams that we've been on, we had some suspect free throw shooters, like myself included, Rodney, whatever case may be. We always had guards who can make shots or make free throws. So, Blake, you guys increase our free throw percentage, but then you look at I think Talon Cooper is shooting 52% or something like that. Mm-hmm. Is like those
guys that are shooters for us are shooting 50%. Like that's crazy, right?
That's the part I don't understand. And for us to be ranked 350 out of 352 teams, it's like what's going on? And I'm pretty sure Coach Johnson does all these, the same drill that you're talking about. I'm sure at the end of the day, at the end of practices that they're shooting free throws, I'm sure they're probably running. They're probably doing something to figure it out. But to me, those are just confidence issues. I don't know what's going on. We've all been in those games like, oh damn, Blake missed 2 free throws. It's because I missed 7 myself. Then Rodney missed 8. It's like so. It kind of
me. I got called to. Whenever I got a technical, I was the guy that called up, and I remember I missed 2 free throws at Indiana. I remember I missed the first one. The crowd was going nuts. The rim was shaking on the second one. I missed the second one. It still to this day haunts me that I was the one that missed both of those.
Is that the one where Ralph got dunked on by
Pritchard? By Pritchard.
Pritchard.
Man, for some reason, Indiana wasn't even that good back then. But boy, we just did not play well versus them down at Indiana. So. But to your point, also the thing that kills me, and then we can wrap this up, is when the media starts talking about it more, it's in the papers, the coach is talking about it, doing specific drills to work on our free throw shooting. The more you talk about it, the more it gets in your head, right? So at some point, do you just say, screw it, we're just in a funk, we're going to get out of it, don't worry about it kind of mentality? Or do you just pound it and ingrain it in these players that all we're doing is shooting free throws? Marcus Fuller comes up to you and says, hey, you were 5 for 10 from the free throw line. You're shooting 50%. You're 350 out of 352. And not to call it Marcus Fuller, I don't even know if you brought that up. I'm just saying the media. It starts, the more you talk about it, the more it gets ingrained in your head. And that's why good shooters go through slumps, right? My sophomore year in college, right? I went through a little slump from 3-point shooting, and I try to not read the media, but every time I finished a game, someone would come up with a microphone and say, what are you going to do to get out of your 3-point shooting slump? You're shooting whatever the percent was, and over the last 10 games, you're shooting 23% from 3-point line. Like, I didn't even realize that,
I
but now I
the same thing.
understand it.
I played like 8 weeks in a row and I didn't hit a three, and I was just like, "What the hell? Like, what do I need to do?"
Those are other problems. Those are other problems that we couldn't fix. But no, I completely agree. I think the free throw thing, I think maybe some sort of drill, like you said, Blake. Maybe they're doing them already, but maybe guys need to just run for their specific misses, and like next practice, maybe it's something that they can focus on. But yeah, they're gonna bring it up no matter what. It's inevitable. It's already in their head. They need to figure it out. I think like they just need to put in the reps. They need to figure it out. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard, but yeah, whatever it may be, whether it's running for the free throws, something's got to give, because at the end of the day, it's really starting to hurt the team. And I think the reason we're so frustrated is they're too good of shooters to be missing free throws. It's not like they're just breaking everything, right? A lot of in and outs, a lot of front end misses. Like, they can shoot the ball. So let's figure it out. I think it'll lead to a lot more wins, and I think we'll be a lot more happier.
What's
My last,
what's
I
messed
think
up when you have to think about, hey, if there was a game where you were in a game and you had 2 free throws and they said, hey, we'll give you 1 point if you just don't want to shoot both these free throws, a lot of people would be like, let's just take that 1 point and get the hell out of here, right? And that's kind of sad, but that's where we're at right now, right? If so-and-so goes to the free throw line and shoots 2 free throws, but before they shoot them, they say, hey, do you want a point and we just get on with the game, or do you want to shoot both of these?
I'm taking a point.
People would say, maybe I want the point.
You hate to hear that, but that's the unfortunate truth. I think a lot of it's mental. I think a lot of it's reps, but I trust they'll figure it out. I trust we'll improve, but 350th out of 352 in free throws in the country is bad. Being last in the Big Ten is bad. Let's just figure it out. Let's figure it out. Let's get to those Trevor Mbakwe free throw numbers, Mr. 17 at 19. And then we can go from there. We can hopefully get some wins.
I want to validate this. I want to know what game this was, because I could say, the game I had 3 dunks, remember? Like, no one's going to validate that. People might believe me, right? I feel like Trev's doing that.
We should.
No, I'm going to send it. Watch. I'm going to archives.
Yeah, we're going on our next.
Last thing. No.
Go ahead.
Last thing before, I think that's the importance of the non-conference games. Like, the more I think about it, we say we play cupcakes and this and that, but like, I think part of that's just like growing your team. You have those wins, everybody's feeling good. That builds the confidence. Like, it prepares you leading up to like your bigger games that you have, whether it's a holiday tournament, whether it's getting ready for the Big Ten. And I think just having a rough non-conference definitely kind of like limited our success moving forward. Yeah. Temporarily, if that makes sense to you guys.
No, it makes sense. And temporarily is the key. We're about to get there. We're getting there. We're going to get a win, and we'll check back in after this Michigan and Purdue game, hopefully 2-0 on the season. But fellas, thank you for another episode. Everybody, thank you for listening to another episode of Outside the Barn. For Trevor Mbakwe, Blake Hoffarber, I'm Kendal Shell. That's a wrap. We'll see you later. Go Gophers, Sky U Ma.
Beyond the Big Ten is a network of podcasts that aims to be your go-to resource for all things Big Ten. We cover the entire conference with shows hosted by ex-players and athletic alumni, aiming to be your go-to source of information and entertainment for your favorite team. Hosted by ex-Big Ten players, media, and insiders, our podcasts are focused on giving diehard fans and those alums an inside scoop about the teams and people that make the Big Ten Conference one of the most watched and most talked about conferences in sports. We're excited to talk Big Ten basketball with you wherever you may be. Subscribe now.